How many of you don't know about Vineet? I'm sure that an entire WFM fraternity knows about Vineet. From GWFM, we call Vineet as one of the Dronacharyas. Whenever I talk to any of the global leaders or country heads, everyone, most of them are mentored or coached by Vineet. Lot to learn from him. And today, your attention to his speech is something very important, because how we can become an influencer and how we can hone the room, which is very, very essential. Because of busy schedule, we just get lost and we continue with the day-to-day activities. But today's leadership is very essential to have WFM leader as an influencer. But Vineet has been talking about this topic since a long time, and he leads by example. With this, great to have you, Vineet, with us. Looking forward to listening to your insights.
Thank you, Shiva. Thank you, everybody. I think it's absolutely a privilege and honor to stand in front of all of you. I don't have any slides, and Shiva, as usual, continues to do various set of conspiracy. So one of the conditions for me to come here was that he will have my session before the lunch, so that, irrespective of the fact, he was confident that at whatever time I speak, I'll put everybody to sleep. And finally, he did the conspiracy right, and he said, okay, in any case, you'll put everybody to sleep, so why don't you talk after the lunch?
And we'll blame the lunch for that.
And blame lunch for it. So that is what we thought we would do, a camouflage so that I'm where I am. So WFM as an influencer is one side, but let me ask you a question, since all of you are seated. How many of you can actually jump high without bending your knees? You can jump high without bending your knees? Okay, fantastic. How many of you can jump higher than without bending your knees?
With trampoline or without trampoline?
Okay, you decide. Even then, you will still go higher if your knees are bent. That is law of physics. Right? So there is a thing called coefficient of restitution. Srikanth is not here, but he did talk about disruption. He did talk about exponential growth. The reality is that no growth can happen if the coefficient of restitution is not greater than 1. For purists who are data modelers and data scientists out here, coefficient of restitution is all about the difference of quotient before the ball rebounds onto the surface, the velocity difference that will hit the ball, and then depending on the elasticity of the surface on which it is colliding versus elasticity of the ball. Right? So that ratio determines and defines the coefficient of restitution. Have I already started putting all of you to sleep? I see some yawning faces. So let us think of it this way. What does influencer, and by the way, there are no slides. You will continue to see all the slides out there. My session is not going to have any slides. I'm confident I'll put you to sleep, even otherwise. What are two alphabets of influence? First two alphabets of influence. No rocket science, I and N, right? That is what influencing starts with. If you were to pick up these two alphabets and start visualizing into your dictionary, you'll find that there are words like income, there are words like intelligence. Anything else? Yeah. Inspire, right? Inspiration, aspiration, perspiration have to go together. The two alphabets start the genesis of what is nice. Sorry, I used the word genesis. So in any case, if we were to look at the start point, IN becomes the basis. Is there something else that can come across as our mind? Influence, income, inspiration, intelligence, investment. What else? Inception, absolutely. So the point of inception is something that needs to be the start point. So question is, who is a WFM influencer? Interest, absolutely, yes. Depends on the context, but yes, absolutely. So let's stick to the word inception, right? Inception, as WFM as a influencer would be coming across from the perspective of people who will be inspired, people who will be intelligent, people who will have their own set of inspiration to start anything, right, which is the point of inception, and take it to the logical end. Now we talked of IN, which is in. Can we look at OUT, which is out? Right? So influence does not mean influence. The linkage is very simple. The linkage is, can there be interoperability, and I'll just talk about interoperability in a minute, but can there be a linkage that can be established of an outcome associated with income? Right? Okay, now coming back. We have been, and I was just talking to some of the folks before lunch, we have been talking about Great Resignation, and that is going to be on day 3, panel 4. Right? I'm saying, standing out here, that Great Resignation is absolutely a reality, but it is overhyped. Now when I make these statements, this is a Vineet statement, please don't attribute it to GWFM or to Concentrix. Right, so if you have to put up a case, put it against me, not on these 2 institutions. Now, I'm saying Great Resignation is absolutely hyped. True, false, how many agree?
True.
So Great Resignation is hyped? Okay, can we just raise hands? Okay, Great Resignation is not hyped. Very interesting. So I did not see many hands going up in either of the cases, but okay, the ratio was balanced. We will discuss this more on day 3, day after tomorrow. But first point, from an influencing point of view, I leave is, at point of inception, whenever we are conceptualizing and dreaming and creating a vision of our own, as WFM professionals, do we have the ability to carry it from inception to the boardroom? If we can't do that, it is just an ideation, it is just a dream. God lies in execution, and reality is there's nobody who can influence or carry an influence if there is no inspiration, and if there is no inspiration, reality is that if it has not touched the boardroom, it has not touched the eyes and ears of CEO, it will not touch the body, soul and flesh of what we call as workforce. So as WFM professional, as people, whatever name we may want to call that, right? Reality is influencing will have to start right from the time when we have looked at any ideation that has started and germinated to move to a logical end. Shiva had given me 900 seconds. So I will continue for another 12 minutes. Shiva, I have that? Okay, should I continue? Are there questions? Are there thoughts? Is it ambiguous? Loose? Okay. I don't have any answers. I was not expecting any answers because people are absolutely confused and have done a great job. You have a question? No? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Partha. Okay, perfect. So now, looking at what are some of the perspectives that are important for us to look at influencing. Why should WFM be an influencer? Right? We talked of disruption, I talked of coefficient of restitution, we talked of hyper-exponential growth. Exponential growth, I'm saying bring it to hyper-exponential growth. Right? Metaphorically, we saw in the previous panel, Shrikant stood up and created a void and a gap. Right? That was a metaphorical context. Can WFM folks, professionals, look at that metaphor to create a void in eyes of the board, in eyes of the CEOs, to figure out that their skills are something which will make a difference to Great Resignation? Point number one. Food for thought. I don't need answers. Food for thought. I would strongly encourage all of us to look at the perspectives, look and identify what in their workspace can actually be looked at. We heard Shrikant talk of, right? He talked of growth, he talked of disruption, but most importantly, he also brought in element of digitization and the associated changes that are likely to happen. Now, Srikanth had talked about it. Coming back, we also heard Sameer very categorically talk about one of the perspectives of humanizing contact center. The start point is all about humanization. The inception is at humanization. Right? So if NICE has brought in a set of umbrella and there were takeaways and to-dos that Srikanth had given to GWFM and all of us are present and converged today, it's important for us to link and label them to identify here is the journey map that we'll start progressing on. And what is that journey map? I'll just come. So far so good? You are still awake?
Yes.
Okay, I do see some more hands now. Fantastic. That is reassuring. So thank you for your nice siesta. So when Sameer talks of humanization, right, what are the elements that he missed out? If you have a pen and paper in front of your hands or on your table and you are not lazy enough to pick that pad up, use that sheet of paper and divide it into 4 segments, right? A 2x2 axis for yourself. On the extreme right x-axis, type the word have. On the extreme right of x-axis, please type the word have. On the bar x-axis, on the left hand side, please type don't have. On the y-axis on top, please type want. On the bar y-axis, type don't want. So what do we get? We get 4 grids. I want, I have is the grid number 1. I want, I don't have is grid number 2. Right? I have, I don't want is grid number 3. I don't want, I don't have is grid number 4. Very simple, right? All of you do this day in, day out, but there is a reason why I am repeating this. On your axis of I have, I want is something that is going to be an area of gratitude or blessings if it is your personal life. I have job, I have salary, I have Mercedes, I have one Mercedes, I have da 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 da. Right? That is your list of blessings. Count on them. Keep counting on them. Move to the left side. Identify it. Right? I have, I don't want. What could that be? It could be things like anger, obesity in the personal life. But all of us are WFM professionals, so what will that still mean? I have, I don't want, right? I have high shrinkages, I don't want it. I have low utilization, I don't want it. Right? I have low profitability per employee, I don't want it. That becomes your goal list, right? Another segment that is, I don't have, I don't want it. What could those lists be? I don't have great resignation, I don't want it. Right? I don't have humanized contact center, I don't want it, right? Nice. I'm not listening. Just a perspective. So, the message to all the WFM folks is, as a start point, if we have to start influencing to the board, create this grid and apply it on your, whether you want to apply it on your profession, onto your job, onto your career planning, onto your financial planning, onto your investment planning, whichever way you want to look at it, use this. And once when you have created this charter for your own self, you'll come to a stage which is called as transformation list. Right? Now, where does that transformation come from? And that's a difficult one. I have, I don't want it is a difficult one. Right? Rest all are easy. I have, I don't want it is a difficult one. And that is where transformation comes into play. The moment you apply the grid onto the model, you have your journey starting to converge and get created. Look at your blessings list, ignore them. Look at your goal list, which was the grid 2. Look at the 4th list, which is the difficult list called transformation list. I don't have, I don't want is something which is not there today, but in reality, once when the transformation starts happening, there is going to get a bond that will get generated. Research has established it. So as influencer, another point that we have to look at is, as WFM professionals, and I'm talking about the ITS industry per se, right? As professionals, we know for sure we are highly underinvested, right? What is the extent of empowerment that may be available to a WFM leader to go ahead and just procure, and just using a very colloquial industrial revolution 2.0 or 3.0, wherever we want to plot the IEX nice journey, but today obviously that is 4.0, but I'm saying in reality a WFM leader may not necessarily have the empowerment today to make an investment decision on procuring, let's say, 30 licenses of IEX. Yes, no, thank you.
You're right. Yes.
We are highly underinvested. As an industry, that is a point that we need to look at, right? Forget IEX licenses, right? How much of us are actually able to invest on our own training as a WFM professional? But compare that, and we did hear Shrikant talk about IDC, right? Indirect cost. Point of inception. Link point of inception with coefficient of restitution and bring it back to the model of have and want. Your roadmap is getting in place, right? You have the know-how. Question is, so you have the know-how, you have the inspiration, right? You have the desire to put in your perspiration. What is that single thing that is going to help you meet your aspiration now? What is that single one-pointer element that will help you meet your aspiration now? It is going to come from influence. Influence to get investment. Somebody talked of investment and interest, right? That has to be the start point for us to get into. I have 60 more seconds. Let me pause here. I will be interacting with all of you over the next 2 days. There is a panel discussion that is going to happen. But just to summarize, focus on point of inception. Identify the transformation list, that is the most difficult one. Identify what can be done to influence to get the investment, right? Ask money, you will never get it. Right? Question is, we did get a framework from Shrikant today, right? He talked about transparency, he talked about productivity, profitability per employee. Some of those mechanisms are coming into play. Question is, what is that index? And we will have Nadia, Radhika, Mayuri. I see 3 people out here. There will be 3 more people who will be talking about it when we come and meet all of you on day 3. So the point is, in summary again, choice of governing our destiny resides with us. Choice of creating our destiny resides with us. Question is, are we willing enough to do what we are not afraid of? Question is, are we clear of what is the why of what we want to do? And are we clear that even if we don't have the know-how, we will know how to get that know-how? GWFM is the forum, right? We will go and hear. There are, just on a parting note, I did hear intellect flow is something that I do see on their t-shirts, right? The link to WFM comes from the domain, which is all about flow of work, flow of information, flow of people, and most importantly, flow of performance. And the binding factor for each 4 of them, which will define the domain, we saw the pillars. We saw the pillars of WFM in what Shrikant had shared. The domain will come from the flow of work, flow of people, flow of information, flow of performance, and all 4 of them have to be linked with the interoperable mechanism of the tools, technologies, applications that will bring into play. What is the persona of Next Gen WFM in 2030? Is it going to be algorithm driven? Answer is no. Because to run that algorithm, there will be some other algorithm that will be driven by a bot, and that is what we will continue to see technology will continue to intervene and commoditize what is most relevant today. We had more than 350,000 jobs in the medical transcription industry when the whole back office work had started. I'm talking about India as a country. Zero job today. But lifestyle has improved. Right? Last food for thought is great resignation is a myth. Why do I make that statement? I make that statement because if every organization is facing the challenge of great resignation, everybody is losing people because they are getting hired by somebody at a 200%, 150, whatever percent of hikes that they may be getting, right? At a macro level, if we were to aggregate all of it, all economies put together at a global level, we were 7 billion people in 2010-11 time frame. We are heading towards becoming 8 billion in another 2-3 years time frame, right? So, compounded annual growth of people is just about 3.5%. Right? Any guesses? What is the $1 trillion effect of all the economies put together, and how much are we growing today? Food for thought. You can do some Google. You can aggregate best of the economies. You can aggregate the worst of the economies. Put all of them together. Put up 157 countries, data points all into play. Reality is that we are not growing anything more than 1% at a global economy level. Right? There are sectors and there are industries that are growing. Hospitality industry, which was completely defunct in 2 years, is roaring and roaming. Right? Services industry, very clearly there is a categorical push. But it is at a trade-off and cost of somebody. There is that. I leave it as a food for thought. Be great influencers, be empathetic towards it, and be very clearly focused on your transformation list. Thank you.